Speaking of babies, the big baby in the White House spoke at a ceremony.
It's quite the
Good segue.
Thank you. I do work on him. He was at a ceremony that was supposed to have honored Native Americans, but you know, he just can't help himself. Take a look.
You're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas.
He thinks it's funny. He thinks he's funny. He's got like an adolescent sense of humor.
But why would he think that was the crowd to try to share the nickname Pocahontas?
And they don't call him anything. He's the only one that uses that term.
That's not true. A lot of Republicans. That is not true. A lot of Republicans call her that.
Yeah, he started it.
I mean, she lied about being Native American, and she got herself into.
Yes, she said her family, and I have to say, you know, many black people are told, yes, you part Native American too. So maybe I figure white people get it too.
Family lore.
She said, quote, "These are my family stories. This is what my brothers and I were told by my mom and dad, my mama and papa. This is our lives. I'm very proud of it." She listed herself as a minority to get into law school at Harvard, for the record, and Cherokee groups have demanded documentation of her ancestry. Genealogists haven't been able to find it.
I have three words for her. Ancestry.com.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I agree with you, Whoopi. You know, on my father's side of the family, everyone always talked about my great-grandmother, Lily, who was Cherokee. You know, but when I did my Ancestry.com, I was 7% Native American. I don't know if it comes from my Puerto Rican side or my African-American side, but we have always had that in our family, that lore. And so I don't want to just completely disbelieve Senator Warren when she says, this is what I was told in my family. I mean, that's a lot of people have done that.
Groups have demanded documentation, and she hasn't been able to.
That's okay, but I think you can't discount that was what she was told. If she says that's what her folks told her.
Regardless of the truth of it, to refer to someone by
though, is an entirely different thing than telling stories to your family. You're benefiting by getting into Harvard Law School, so that is where this controversy.
She said that she didn't put it on her application.
She listed it as a minority. I mean,
but beyond that point about who's right, to refer to someone as a historical figure like Pocahontas.
It was listed in the directory.
Or a Disney character, whichever way you know her.
Right.
It's the insult is on Pocahontas and like the people, the Native Americans.
Well, you know, I thought about it, and I asked them before, we were talking about this, because it becomes a slur when you, for example, if you say a guy who's Italian is a real Guido, that's an insult. If you say a Jew is a Jaime, Jackie, what's his name?
I've never heard that one.
Reggie Jackson. Not Reggie Jackson. No. What's his name? Jackson.
Well,
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
Jesse Jackson famously called New Yorkers a New York Jaime town, meaning there are a lot of Jews. So that's why Pocahontas becomes a slur.
Yeah.
Because
well, the Native Americans that were there said it was a slur.
Is that these are Native American code talkers from the Navajo Nation in Arizona who gave a great
in the war.
It's a fascinating story actually about what they did for us in World War II, and I do think that they deserve the respect.
Well, he
not to be politicized, not to be politicized in that setting. Also, the optics of having Andrew Jackson. This administration continues to get in its own way with the optics of things that they're advanced.
That was troubling to me that this all took place in the Oval Office with the portrait of Andrew Jackson on the wall, and Andrew Jackson is known, you know, for
he was called
being racist
the Indian killer, because he moved people. He moved the Native Americans onto the
Indian Removal Act.
The Trail of Tears. I mean, but just that. Why would you think that this would be smart? Why would you think that Native Americans would think that you, as the white guy, why would that be amusing to them?
Well, he doesn't care about the Native Americans. He only cares about his base.
He thinks it's.
And when he makes a joke, Pocahontas, or when he goes Puerto Rico, he's talking to his base. He doesn't care about anybody else.
Well, here's the thing,
I think this was a mistake, though. I think it was a gaffe. I think it was.
Everything comes out of his mouth is a gaffe.
He thought it was funny, but the thing is, you're just turning back very quickly to Andrew Jackson. You know, he chose to have that portrait in his Oval Office. And I think he understands visuals extremely well.
Yes, he does.
And I think, you know, when you look at these white nationalist blogs, they laud Andrew Jackson, and I think it's dog whistle. I think he is speaking to his base by putting that photo up.
So we should have an ex-president's photo up in the Oval Office.
Well, but that president, he chose that president in particular.
Well,
why not Kennedy? Why not Lincoln? He chose it, and Steve Bannon
they all have issues, every one of them.
Again, if you want, as Joy just said, if you want to go down the roster, there's issues with every single president, starting with Bill Clinton,
but
going
this one
back
is specific.
up.
This one is specific.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just think it's important to know that when you have a Native American veterans who did a lot to help us win World War II, standing in front of a portrait of Andrew Jackson, that's when I have a problem with him hanging it in the Oval Office. Period. I do not.
So how do the Republicans feel about the fact that that goes against the military? I mean, the Republicans...
Well, you want to talk about going against the military? You know, a couple of weeks back, we just got we found the remains, the rest of the remains from that insane
David John
craziness that happened over in Niger, right?
Oh, yeah.
How come he's not talking about going and kicking Niger's butt? Because he's always saying, we're going to come and you messing with our people, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
You haven't said boo about this. And how come you haven't mentioned, hey, we finally got the rest of one of our people back?
Yeah.
Why haven't you done anything about that? Why haven't you said anything?
Why do you think?
I don't know.
Because the guy's black, right?
I don't know. But if you're going to be the guy that says, you know, I'm making America great and I'm going to take care of my country, and you don't have the cojones to say, hey, Niger, we're going to come over and take a look at what you're doing because you messed up.
But it's on his watch, and Benghazi was not.
Yeah. We'll be back with more Hot Topics.
That's it.